Welcome back, guys. We're talking about different things that affect your retirement. What are the three different things that affect your retirement?
The three killers are risk, fees, and taxes. And so that's
So,
what our whole firm is about, Higher Ground Financial
so
Group.
I'm Raz. This is Daniel. Daniel's a tax attorney, and we're with Higher Ground Financial Group. We're going to talk about different things that affect your retirement. So we've gotten a lot of questions and calls about annuities. Boy, have we gotten a lot of questions and calls about annuities. So we did a little segment before on annuities, and we want to follow up a little bit about that. There are three different types of annuities, Daniel. Can you go over them again? What are the three types of annuities?
So the three categories you want to be aware of are variable annuities versus fixed.
So variable means there's no upside or downside cap.
Meaning you can lose money and you can also gain. Now, some of them have a little bit of a cap or a limitation on loss, and they're still variable because they can lose money.
And they're called what, RILAs, right?
Right. Registered index-linked annuities, and then there's variable annuities, traditional variable annuities that have really no limit on loss. And some of those have different features and riders and certain parts of the contract that are guaranteed, but ultimately you can still lose money with those. So they are securities products.
So the main reason for those annuities was to defer your taxes on any growth in those, and you wanted to invest in the stock market.
Right. Or if you wanted a guaranteed lifetime income rider and you wanted to hopefully grow a lot more before you turn that on, and you want a market like growth. But in the last a number of years, there's been a lot of innovations with fixed annuities that have those income riders, and they have far less fees.
So what does fixed mean? If you have, instead of variable, you have fixed annuity, what does that mean?
So a fixed annuity is guaranteed not to lose money. That's the primary purpose. It's fixed, as in you have a fixed interest rate or a fixed return, or it could be a return that varies by year, but it's always fixed, as in no loss.
It's not like fixing a boxing game or soccer match, is it?
No, but it is fixing your income if you have an income annuity. So they really fall into two categories.
So in a way, it is like that, because now you've fixed that problem of loss. Now you cannot lose.
Exactly. So a fixed annuity will either be, again, for accumulation or for distribution, for income. And most annuities that you hear advertised, and even on the radio, you probably have heard a lot of ads, maybe even today, for different annuity companies that are offering guaranteed lifetime income. And those are good in certain situations if you don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income already. So we like to use with our clients a phrase called paychecks and playchecks. The idea, and
Tom Hagner coined that term.
Yes,
he's a great writer, speaker, an incredible guy. And he came up with that paychecks and playchecks term that allows you to have what paychecks, which means covers all your regular expenses, your living expenses.
So your paycheck should be guaranteed. And Social Security is one form of guaranteed income. If you have a government pension, that's also guaranteed income. If you have an income annuity, that's also guaranteed income. And the idea is you want enough guaranteed income that it covers all your basic expenses, so that you know that no matter what happens in the market, no matter how long you live, you cannot outlive your income. You'll always have guaranteed lifetime income. And there's a number of studies that show that people are much happier, much less stressed in retirement if they have guaranteed lifetime income. So you want that as a baseline. But if you already have enough guaranteed lifetime income, you don't really need an income annuity necessarily.
Yeah, you got high Social Security and you got a pension, then you may not need that income guarantee because you already have a guaranteed income.
So there's a totally different type of annuity that may work in that situation. And that's for the volatility buffer. It's a fixed annuity that grows or accumulates. And those still have a guarantee of no loss. But the growth can be much higher than it can be in an income annuity. And you're still going to have some kind of limitation.
So what do you give up in those things? I mean, if you're not going to have any kind of loss at all, it's got to come with something.
Right. So you're going to have a fixed rate of return, kind of like a CD or a money market or bond. You might get 3, 4, 5%.
So let me get this straight. So if I'm the insurance company and you give me your money in a fixed index annuity, I'm guaranteeing you're not going to lose any money, and I'm going to give you a fixed interest rate, or you can take that fixed interest rate and do what with it?
So you can either take the fixed interest rate, or some of them will offer a market-linked interest rate. Now you might be thinking, market-linked, but this is fixed. How is it in the market? Well, it's not in the market, but you are linked to the market. That means they look at the market to determine how much interest you're going to get. And so if the market goes up, you can get a lot more interest potentially than a fixed rate would give you. But if the market crashes, then you don't lose any money.
How do insurance companies do that? I mean, how can they invest in the market and not lose money?
Well, they're not actually investing by buying stocks. They're using options.
So when you give them your money, you give an insurance company your money, they're investing in long-term investments that you and I can't invest in. They're getting a high rate of return, maybe 8-9%, whatever it is, and they're carving off a small amount that, just like a bank would, they're going to give you a fixed interest rate on CD that's giving you, say, 4 or 5%. The insurance company will do the same thing, and they're not charging you for that, right?
Exactly. So people say, well, I mean, there's got to be a fee, right? Where's the catch? Well, the bank's not charging you a fee for the CD either, right? They're making more interest than what they're paying you. That's where the catch is.
Right.
So the insurance company is doing the same thing. If they're giving you a fixed rate of 4%, they might be making 6 or 7%, and they're keeping the extra. So some of that goes to operating costs, some of it goes to commissions, and so on.
All right, so let's walk through this. If I'm the insurance company and I give you 4%, you say, well, that's not really enough, because I want the option to make more. So what I can do as an insurance company, I can take that 4% and buy an option on an index. So let's pick the S&P 500. So if I pick an option on the S&P 500, I have 4%. So that's my budget, right? That's what I have to spend.
So you might be able to buy some of the S&P. You might maybe buy the first 8% or the first 9% of what the S&P does. So that means you have the right to go ahead and buy that index a year from now and get the gains up to a certain limit.
So that's what we would call a cap. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at annuities, thinking about annuities, talking about annuities, you've got to be aware of what the cap is. And the other option is a participation, right? They're either a cap or a participation.
So instead of a cap, you might have an annuity that gives you no cap, but you only get a certain percentage of what the market does. So maybe you get half of what the market does. There's no cap, but you get half of what the market does. So if it does 8%, you get 4. If it does 15%, you get 7.5. If it does 20%, you get 10%.
So Dan, why would I want to put a cap or participation on my money? I mean, I want to get what the market does, right? Why would I want to put the cap on it or only participate at 50%?
Well, this is all in the realm of protecting your money from loss. And you want to have protection from loss because you don't know, and we talk about sequence of returns risk and volatility buffer strategies a lot. We don't know when the bad years will come in retirement, but we know they will come. And you need to be insulated from the bad years. If you want to use this money to supplement your retirement income, which is what most people are doing with the annuity money, it's supplementing their retirement income. They're not taking a pension out of it, but they're going to take withdrawals for anything you might need in retirement. If that's the purpose, you want it to always be there, and you don't want it to be losing money. And if the market crashes and then you need it, you're not going to be able to get to it. And so if you eliminate the bad years, you really don't have to get high returns in the good years in order to have a good, stable amount that you can pull out every year.
And you can find that on crestmontresearch.com. They've done a 50-year study showing that if you don't lose money in the market, you only have to get about 30 or 32% in order to be at the same level of the market. So
30% of what the market does, right?
Yeah.
So not even half of what the market does in the good months if you don't lose any money in the bad months, and you'll actually be at the same level.
So basically, there's math behind what we're talking about. And if you make an appointment, go to our website, risk, fees, and taxes.
Yep. Riskfeestaxes.com.
And then talk to us, and we'll show you the math behind what we're talking about. And don't just take our word for it. We will actually show you what.
And I want to caveat that by, in certain periods of times, depending on what the stock market does, the annuity, the growth annuity, again, not income annuity, but a growth annuity, it may actually do better, it may do worse, right? But it will never lose money. And it's not really designed to beat the stock market necessarily. You're not buying an annuity in order to beat the stock market. If anybody's telling you that this is going to do better than the stock market, you're going to be amazing. There's no better investment.
Run away.
It's guaranteed 10%, 20%, whatever they tell you. Then yeah, run away, because that's not the purpose. The purpose of a growth annuity is to protect your money from loss, and then to get a better return, hopefully over a long period of time, than any other safe money would give you. And everybody wants to have some money safe in retirement. Nobody goes into retirement and it's very rare. It's very rare. Nobody goes into retirement and puts all their money in the stocks and nothing even in bonds or cash or anything.
It's like going to a casino and taking all your money, everything you brought in, and put it on a roulette table on one number.
Yeah, and then you win. You happen to win. You put it all again on the same number. No, you're going to have some money on the sidelines, right? So, Raz, imagine your favorite sports team, whether it's baseball team, football team, whatever. Imagine your favorite team, and you're the head coach. You're sitting there on the sidelines watching your team play, and it's right near the end of the game. There's only 5 minutes left in the game, and your team is up by like 30 points or 40 points. What are you going to do as a coach?
Well, I'm gonna pull out all my best players because I don't want them getting hurt. I'll pull out my quarterback, my receiver, any of my defensive ends, any of the people that mean a lot to me that are my first string. I'll replace them with my second string.
Exactly. So you're not going to pull all of your players out and just lay down and let the other team walk all over you, right? You're not going to have.
I'm still going to play the game.
Still going to play the game, but you're going to take out your prime players because you don't want them injured. You've already won this game. So that's really what it comes down to is with retirement, you need to know when have you won the game. Do you have enough now, or are you already on track to have enough that you will never run out of money as long as a major crash doesn't happen to you? And if that's the case, then why take risk?
And that's where we come in. We take a look at your assets, do a risk, fee, and tax analysis. And once we've done the analysis, we can show you what kind of income to expect. And once you know that, then you can, really plan for what you're going to do. Do you want to work a few more years? Do you want to retire earlier? Because you know what the income will be after taxes. So once you know what that income is, you know that you've won the game. You may not want to lose 30 or 40% because then you may have to be in that game for another, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. And that may not be the right plan for you.
So we were working with a client recently, and he wanted us to put together this analysis and do an income plan for him. And he wasn't sure if he had enough money saved for retirement. So we did a calculation, and we found out that between Social Security and an income annuity that was only going to use about a third of his money. So about a third of his money he put into this income annuity. And between that and the Social Security, that guaranteed enough income that replaced his day-to-day needs. It would buy his food, pay his mortgage, all those things he needed. And only about 1/3 of his money was used for that. The other 2/3 of the money was his play money, his fun money. This is his vacation fund and other stuff. And so about half of that he left in the market, and the other half he protected with a growth annuity because he said, look, I don't want to have a major market crash, even though I don't really need this for living expenses. I want to be able to take a vacation even if the market's having a bad year.
But I still like to go to the casino, and I want to play my odds.
Exactly. So he had in 3 different buckets. He left some in the market. He had a protected, guaranteed, no loss account that grew, and he had a guaranteed lifetime income. So that was an example of somebody that used 2 different types of annuities to impact his retirement. But it's not for everybody. It really needs to make sense for you. And we are fiduciaries. So fiduciaries mean we can only recommend something if it is in your best interest. And we look through all the different things, whether it involves annuity or whether it doesn't involve an annuity. We want to make sure that you do what's right for you.
So basically, Daniel, what you're saying is annuity is a tool. It's not inherently good or evil. Right. Just like if you want to hang a picture and you have a nail, you want to use a hammer. You don't want to use a screwdriver. You can use the end of a screwdriver and hammer it in, but it's not going to work as well.
Exactly. The screwdriver is great for a screw, but terrible for a nail. So use the right tool for the right purpose. And again, go to riskfeestaxes.com to be able to click the green button and schedule a meeting with us. It'll be a Zoom call, and we'll be happy to talk with you about your fiduciary plan.